everyone, this is Sama, and today I'll be showing you how to put shadows on your pictures using ibisPaint X. Last time we talked about how to do it using Canva, and now I'm going to show you a more advanced way to do it using this ibisPaint X app. So you can download this from the Apple Store or from the Play Store, and it works a lot like Photoshop. So if you've used Photoshop, you know that there's layers. If you haven't used Photoshop, I'm letting you know that there's layers. So the one thing to keep in mind when adding shadows to your photo is look at your photo that you're going to be using and see what type of shadows are there. So pay attention to the lighting, pay attention to where the shadows fall, and then what type of shadows there are. There hard shadows or are there soft shadows? So I'll show you how to do both in this app. So once you download that, you can basically start with a blank canvas. I'm not going to start with a blank canvas. I'm going to start with something I've already done. But if you want to start with a blank canvas, you just hit this plus button right here, blue plus button at the bottom, and you can specify the size that you want, or you can import a picture. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to use something I already have. So I'll start with this one right here because it has hard shadows in it. So basically, to import a picture, you want to go to where these little stacks of white squares are, and to import a picture you can hit the camera button and you can import a picture from your files. So you'll do that, and everything that you import is its own layer. So just to teach you a little bit about layers, the bottommost layer is the layer that's going to be behind everything, and the topmost layer is going to be in front of everything. So for example, this picture right here of the street is the lowest most layer, and it's behind everything else. And then this picture of my Zepeto characters are the topmost layer, which means they're in front of everything. Okay, so you'll import your picture. You can import your Zepeto characters the same way. Just hit that camera to import the picture, and they'll all be on their own layer. All right, so once you have those all put in here already, so you just want to again look at the shadows. So like I said, these have hard shadows, and so that's kind of what we're going to replicate here. All right, so on my layer, what I usually do is I duplicate the layer. So the layer that my Zepeto characters are on, I will duplicate that. So you do that by hitting the plus button with the square around it, and you'll hit the middle option, which is duplicate layer. So I'm going to hide this layer by just touching that eye right there, and I'm going to go onto the bottom layer here, and this is where we're going to actually create our shadow. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the second button right here. It's an eraser. So this right here, it changes depending on what option you chose. So it could be a brush one day, or it could be a bucket. So either way, you just want to tap on that second button option, and you want to go to filter right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to adjust the color, and you're going to go over here to the color balance option, and you want to make sure that this setting is everything is all the way to the left. So everything here should be to the left, so that way your characters are completely blacked out. The next thing you want to do is you want to blur it. So given the fact that, like I said, these are harder shadows, I'm not going to blur that this much. So I'm going to actually take down the blur amount so it's not as harsh. Alright, so another thing that I noticed too is that the shadows are not that black either. So I'm also going to change the color of these shadows. So if your picture doesn't have that issue where the shadows are a different color, don't worry about this step. I'm just doing it because I need it to look right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select the eyedropper tool, and I'm just going to go and select one of the shadows that are nearby. And in order to move your picture, just do 2 fingers on the picture. You can move your picture and you can kind of pan that up. So I'm just going to select one of the shadows without, okay. So I selected one of the shadows, so it already picked up the color already. So I also have the paint bucket, so that's when I'm going to use that color over here. And I'm going to put that on my, actually I'm going to do it a little bit lighter. And I'm going to drop that on my shadow. Alright, so now that that's done, and I'm also probably going to blur that a little bit more as well. Alright, so now we're ready to manipulate this shadow, so now it can be on the ground. So what you do from there on out is you want to just go over to the toolbar on the right-hand side of the screen, and you want to select these, I guess looks like a move or multiple arrows, and it has like 3 options. So it has the translate scale, which will adjust the scale or the size of your image. Then you have the perspective, which is going to skew the image, and then you have the mesh form, which is kind of like more fine detail type resizing. So the main one I'm going to use is the perspective one. So for that, I'm just going to start adjusting that and at least put it on the ground. Actually, for this particular shadow, this is a shadow where I would actually cut this shadow in half, probably. So I'll do that with that. Alright, so I did that. Now I'm going to duplicate this shadow layer. Like I said, this is optional. This is just me nitpicking. I'm just going to erase her because in reality these 2 shadows would probably blend together. So I'm just making it look more natural. So I'm just erasing shadows. Okay. And I'm going to put my Zepeto characters back on. And I'm going to now adjust the shadows to where they need to be. just layering these two shadows on top of each other. Get rid of the extra shadow, doesn't need to be there. And I'm just going to merge those two layers together. So once you've done that, and then just the merging layer, like I said, this is just because I'm working with two Zepeto avatars and not one. Alright, so now you want to just lower the opacity of this. So once you have your shadow and you got through all those steps, you can manipulate. You just want to lower the opacity by adjusting the slider down here at the bottom. Right here. So adjust that. And then I'm also going to add just a little bit of blur on here by going to the effects and then just adjusting the Gaussian blur. And then I'm going to just adjust the color some. Alright, so there you have it. That is a hard shadow that blends in with the scenery. Okay, so that's that. I will now show you how to do just like a basic shadow. So I'm going to go back to my gallery. So more simple shadow. So again, just looking at this one, you can see that this one doesn't need any like hard shadows or anything, because as you can see in this picture, it's overcast, it's at the beach, and even in the background the bench doesn't even have like a defined shadow. It's really soft and it's really muted. So that's something that I replicated in this picture as well. So for this one, because it's just so simple, all I did was I created a new layer by hitting the plus sign here, and then I got the paintbrush and I just drew 2 circles on the ground. And here, just following the same steps almost as the last one, you just go, since these are already black already, just go to the Gaussian blur option again, and I'm just going to blur that even as much as possible. And then I'm going to go back to the little stacks, the layers again, and I'm just going to lower the opacity to about where I think it should be, where it looks right. So that's how you would do just simple shadowing based on the shadows around the photo. And then just to do just a basic shadow, in this case one that's perhaps like against a wall. Same principle here. So again, you just want to copy your layer. So go into that, plus again, duplicate the layer, then come over to the second option, hit filter again, go to adjust color, go to color balance, make sure everything is to the left to black this out, go to blur, Gaussian blur, you can adjust that. And then come over and adjust slider, the opacity, and then we'll put our Zepeto avatar on it. And this one you would probably just want to offset it because you won't be able to see it. So that's what I usually do, is I just do an offset. Just by going again to the arrows tool. Alright, and there you have it. That is how to use ibisPaint X to add shadows to your photos. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.